Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we're going to be profiling a deck profile that I have been waiting to profile for you guys actually. If you guys are familiar with my channel or know me, I love decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Based off ancient cultures or ancient stories, legends, myths, Six Samurai, Gravekeepers. I'm a history nerd, aka why I love those decks. And this is one of those type of decks that as soon as I saw it, I said to myself, I'm building this deck. I don't care how much it costs because I just had to build it. The empire that was once divided must unite. Now united must divide. Romance of the Three Kingdoms. If you guys do not know about ancient warriors and their history, their myth, their legends, what they're based around, they're based off the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is an ancient Chinese tale. I guess you could call it a myth, a legend from ancient China about the founding of China, pretty much. Ancient China, that is. And it's just a cool story. And I learned about it many years ago, actually, just reading historical stuff. And then a few years ago, we had Total War did a game called Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and when that came out I said, oh my gosh, I have to play this. I love this. I actually love Total War, older games too, but I played it and I said, oh my gosh, I love it. And then when I saw this deck I said, okay, I'm gonna build it. I have to build it. I love it, and I just fell in love with this deck. So honestly, when we've been in crush card mode recently, I've been playing this deck a lot in person with some of my friends personally, because I just like it. It's one of those fun decks I play a lot. So without further ado, let's get into a deck profile, guys. I just had to talk about it in the history of this deck because it's one of those decks that holds a special place in my heart, and one I've been playing a lot of just for fun. So my favorite, actually, Ancient Warrior is Lu Jin. And one thing I also want to mention to you guys as I get into this deck profile, I spoke to a couple of good friends of mine who are Chinese, actually like 2 to 3 of them, and we sat down, we were going over these, how to pronounce these names. So I do apologize if I mispronounce them. They speak Mandarin, they speak Chinese and American, they're American Chinese, but I tried my best to pronounce these, so forgive me if I butcher them. But Lu Jin's very good. He's kind of your tutor for your deck. He's going to help tutor out monsters from your main deck, your Ancient Warriors. And in addition to that, he will be a draw engine for the deck. So he's essential. He is my favorite because of his artwork, but he's definitely a staple 3 of, in my opinion. Next we run 3 Sun Mu. He's very good in the deck because he's kind of like your searcher for the deck, which is really nice. He's a staple 3 in the deck for that reason, but kind of think of these cards as like, okay, it can tutor monsters out, can be a mini draw engine, is your searcher pretty much for the deck. The cool thing about Ancient Warriors, and thankfully we have cards, thanks to Fire Fist, like Tensu and Tenki to generically search things out, but Tensu can help you swarm the field so you can get multiple of your Ancient Warrior effects off as well. So that's another nice thing about this deck. So these are our staple 3-ofs in my humble opinion. Next off, and one thing I'm going to also mention too before I continue on here, is things like Lu Jin. As I continue on here, I want to mention this before I go on. You have to keep in mind that the Ancient Warriors that are wind-based attribute because of the Link monster. So things like Gao Yin and things like Kong, which I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, I just call him Kong, because these are wind attribute guys, they're important because they can help you go for your new Link monster. So they can help you go for your Dragon Link, which requires an Ancient Warrior Wind monster. Well, these are some of your main ones. Your Lu Jin, your Gao Yin, maybe not Gao Yin so much, but Lu Jin especially sometimes, and Kong will sometimes be that one Link monster I'll use for a Link to meet that requirement. So I do want to mention that before I continued on. So keep that in mind as you see the deck profile. If you are wondering why is it a 3-of, well, is it a wind attribute? Maybe that's the reason why. Next we run 3 Gao Yin. He's a staple 3-of in my opinion. He can help pop things. He'll give your Ancient Warriors some protection, which is nice. Staple 3-of. He's also one of your bigger beaters for the deck, along with things like, I guess you could say Caldi. Not Caldi, Zhang Di. Along with him, these are some of your bigger beaters. We do run in the deck as a 1-of Caldi, but along with Caldi, Zhang Di and gosh, can't read upside down. Gunyan, they're your main beaters for the deck. So that's why he's a staple 3 of. For that reason, he's fairly easy to get out, but he's there because he's going to give you protection and help pop things pretty much. Next up, we run 3 Kong in the deck. Kong is really nice because he can give you negate monster effects on your opponent's turn through different means, actually, through removing spells, traps, continuous spell and trap things. He's really a staple 3 of. The other reason I run him as a 3 of, and I did play around with him a while ago as a 2 of, then went to 3 of because he is a wind attribute and he can help you go again for your Ancient Dragon, which requires that one stipulation of 1 Ancient Warrior that's a wind attribute. So that's another reason to run him as a 3 of because he's very easy to get out. So staple 3 of in my opinion because he can help negate things. Against certain decks he can be really powerful, I feel like. And I've run into, I found. Next we run 3 double Jaldi. Jaldi. Jaldi is a staple 2 of, I feel like. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I've seen people run him as a 1 of, and I completely get it because he can be a brick. But through playtesting and the lifespan of this deck, I went back and forth because sometimes I'm running it as a 1 of, and then I'll go to 2 of, and then I go back to 1 of, and now I'm back at 2 of. That's the way I've played this card, back and forth. And I understand why you may be running it as a 1 of because it can be a little bit bricky and there's other cards you want to run. But personally, when I sat down and thought about it, I said, how often do I get 2 Ancient Warriors on the field? Fairly often, so he's usually live. So that's why I run him as a 2 of. But I understand if you run him as a 1 of. But also the fact that he's a wind attribute. Now, I don't use him for links that much, but he can help, do a lot of damage against your opponent. On top of that, wind attribute, things of this nature, easy to get out for the most part. Why not? Next we run 3 Zhugong. I cannot pronounce him. Zhangong. This one was the hardest one to pronounce next to Kong, actually, for me. But he gives you some, can help negate opponent's monster effects, which is pretty nice. He's not a wind attribute, so that's why he's a 2 of. We already have, Kong. Not Kong. Kong to do stuff. So I found him less useful, but still good. So I still run him as a 2 of in the deck. Next off, I run 2 Zhang Yun, which is really, really a card that I've seen some people play around with and some people not. Personally, I like it as a 2 of. It's easy to get out. It can be a little bit of a beater. And it's fairly simple just to have another body on board so this deck can swarm the field and you can get effects off. So at the end of the day, decide to go with him as a 2 of. I understand if you don't run him though. But I like him in the deck and he's been perfectly fine. And lastly, which I consider him kind of like a boss monster of the deck, I run 1 Cal D. You don't have to run Cal D. I'm going to be completely honest. Like I said, if you want to run some other things, maybe you have Lightning Storms. Maybe you have Tactical Talents. I don't have access to those cards. So what you could do is maybe you take these 3 out for Tactical Talents or Lightning Storm or whatever you want to. So yeah, you can definitely try that out. Originally, these were Called by the Grave, but Call by the Grave is limited, so I need to run other additional cards in the deck, and I'll be honest, I couldn't find anything that really fit what I wanted. So I decided to run some more monsters that had been on the fringes of making the deck initially. So that's why I'm running those ratios. Next up, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Basic hand traps, you can run whatever you want. You want to run Ghost Ogre, you want to run Ash Blossom, you want to run DD Crow, whatever you want to run, guys, run it. That's pretty much what this spot is for, but I prefer Ash Blossom, like I've always said, because it hits multiple decks out there. The awesome artwork of our spells of Ancient Warrior 3 Visits. I love this artwork, but it's a staple 3 of in the deck. It's a very good card. In addition to this card, we also run the newer card that just recently came out, East by South Winds. Which I'm still trying to understand this artwork a little bit. But 3 East by South Winds, which is a powerful card, really, overall. So we run 3 and 3. Also keep in mind, because these are continuous Ancient Warrior spells, you do get other things you can do. So those are your staple 3 of Ancient Warrior spells. We do also run 1 Bowing of Arrows as well. And that's pretty much all for the Ancient Spell cards, and pretty much all for the Ancient Warrior Spell deck. I've seen people not play this, by the way, and I've seen people run it as a 2-of even. But personally, I like it as a 1-of. East by South Wind, staple 3-of. This, staple 3-of as well. I'm not going to go into too much detail because this deck is fairly new. So a lot of you guys out there probably already know a little bit about what this deck does. So to save on time, that's why I'm just saying this is a staple, this is a staple. Usually I don't do that. You guys know that. 3 Tanky, it's your searcher for your deck, your generic searcher. Along with 3 Tanky, we run 3 Tensu, double Tensu. I had a friend of mine suggest triple Tensu, but I found that to be a little bit too much, so I didn't run that. But 2 Tensu, this can help you with swarming the field. Tanky can help you with searching and give you a little bit of attack boost, which is nice. I mean, your entire deck is Beast Warriors. Why wouldn't I run this card? It can pretty much search out just about anything you really need for the most part, especially your starter cards. You know, your Chaldee and things like your Sun Mu, your Kong, it can help search out. Things like this, it can help search out, which can help precipitate plays and get things going. So that's all for that. For more draw power, which the deck really needs, and besides Dragon, you really don't use the extra deck, so that's why I'm running 3 Pot of Extravagance. This deck, for the most part, is a deck based on boss monsters in the main deck and monster effects in the main deck. Besides Dragon, I really don't find myself a heck of a lot of the time, so to speak, going into the extra deck besides Dragon. So I want more draw power in the deck so I can get to these main deck boss monsters, so I can get my plays rolling, get my board set up. So Extravagance is good because you want to get to your draw engine. I wasn't a fan of it initially, but through play testing it, I like it. Especially in this deck, because the only really extra deck monster I care about, again, is Dragon. So it works perfectly well in the deck in my opinion. Some more draw power and making it a 39 card deck. Upstart Goblin, 1 Call by the Grave, because you have so much draw power and search power and etc. You want some protection against hand traps, so I'm still running the 1 Call by the Grave. And 1 Monster Reborn in the deck as well. Now you can try to run Infinite Impermanence, but I found myself not really needing that card per se. I found it better in the side deck because I already had some monsters in the main deck, as I've talked about, that can negate monster effects fairly easily. So I would say more against the side deck, or depending upon your matchup, you could side deck in Infinite Impermanence. Next we run 3 triple double Dragon Lords, which is your extra deck boss monster. Don't worry so much about the low attack. It can get a little bit more beefy pretty quickly, I find, and it's just a very good card to have. So besides that card and Barricade Double Blocker, which can help recycle your continuous spell cards in the deck, this was pretty much all I was really going for, guys, like in the extra deck. And that's why you see triple and double, because literally, okay, I'm going to go for this mainly. Once in a while, I'll go for this. And then everything else is just there, just in case, besides Tiger King, which is another 2-of I ran. Besides all that, not much else I'm going for. So that's why you see these ratios here. So that's the ratio for that. I'll keep these laid out. I'm sorry about that. For your other links we're running, guys, just so you know, we're running IP Masquerena, which can be helpful to go into other things. Your Cerberus we're running as a 1-of, and your Phoenix we're running as a 1-of as well. So your Nightmare Phoenix and Cerberus. I do run double Unicorn because this is something you will go into against certain decks more so. So that's why it's a double, just because in case you banish one, you have another. We also run Blackluster Soldier of Chaos. I find myself once in a blue moon going for it. It's fairly easy to get into because you have multiple different names, so why not? 2 Tiger Kings, you'll go for this. This is pretty much your main deck, extra deck monster to help go for search for your Tenki and your Tensu. That's mainly why it's here. And then lastly, I'm running 1 Borreload Savage Dragon, guys, because it can help OTK, and 1 Excess Code Talker because they can help do different things, and it's a very powerful card. So just for your rank 4s, that's about all you're running there. You can run whatever you want to, but that's the extra deck in a nutshell, guys. It's pretty straightforward, I feel like. And I didn't want to spend a heck of a lot of time, like I said at the beginning of this video, as I was doing the deck profile, going over just basic cards here, which you guys should know. Like I said, Barricade Blocker is going to help you recycle stuff. Everything else is pretty much generic here in this extra deck. And for the most part, you're going to be going mainly for, you know, your Link, and then once in a while some other ones. And your main deck, for the most part, like I said, you're going to be pretty much going for a main deck. You have a lot of main deck boss monsters. The deck is more revolving around the main deck, which is really interesting. And you don't see that play style all the time to this extent. You may see, you know, one deck that has, okay, it has one big boss monster in the main deck, but so many different, you know, monsters, and it's mainly main deck focus. You don't see that as much anymore, I find. But yeah, it was really cool. It's been really cool to play this deck, and I've enjoyed it. Hopefully this deck profile was helpful. You know, if you're trying to figure out ratios and just things of that nature, and just how to construct it properly with the new list out. And till next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling. Remember, guys, to unite that empire, and I'll see you guys next time, and go Ancient Warriors. Take care, everybody.